Howdy, y'all. Today I'm going to show you how I've 3x my productivity as a data analyst using two specific tools. Um, so the first one is Warehouse MCPs. The second one is Cursor IDE, and basically connecting the two. So just some definitions. So if you're not aware or understand what an MCP is, I didn't know 3 months ago really what it was. An MCP basically connects AI assistants like Claude or ChatGPT to another system. So in this case, that other system is a data warehouse like BigQuery and Snowflake, and it allows the AI to query the database, explore schemas, and run SQL on your behalf without copy pasting. Just let that sink in. Like, that is incredible. And then I use the Cursor IDE to use the MCP. And Cursor IDE is just it's a code editor. It's like VS Code or like Anti-Gravity by Google. And it just allows you to have a ChatGPT like interface within your IDE. And I find Cursor to be very user friendly and intuitive. So that's the one I use. So before I get to how I've 3x my productivity, let's look at like a base case of like the very old way of doing things. Maybe I did this 2 years ago, which is you get a data request like from a SQL, why did conversion rate drop at this part of the funnel in the past month? And so usually what happens is you understand their problem, why they're trying to solve it, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're typically writing SQL to dive into that question and answer it. And you write SQL manually, you check the output, you do a lot of iteration, then you create some visuals, and then you create a presentation, and then you finally share that with the stakeholder. That's the basic flow. But most of the work is done in this space. You're writing SQL, creating visualizations or tables, and you're doing it all manually. So, that changed drastically when AI came about, especially when it got good at writing code. So this is kind of how I did things 3 to 6 months ago. So I get a data request. I then go straight to ChatGPT or Claude, and you give it a prompt, but you have to give it a bunch of context. That is like the schema, the tables that you want it to query, that it should query. And then once AI writes that SQL, then you copy that SQL, you then paste it into your data warehouse UI of choice, like BigQuery Studio. You run that query, and then you have to copy the output of that query and give it back to ChatGPT or Claude so that it understands the output of the query that it just wrote. So there's a bunch of iteration here. It's basically lots of copying, pasting from your data warehouse UI to ChatGPT. And then that's kind of the bottleneck. And then you create visuals. You can create visuals with AI now, and then create a presentation or a summary, which is great. And then you share it with the stakeholder. So awesome. This really speeds up the process, but it can be much, much faster is what I found. So this is my current way of doing things. So I get a data request. I understand the context of that request. And then I prompt AI within Cursor to write the SQL necessary to answer that question. And so there's still iteration here. The AI needs to write the SQL, but now that it's connected to the data warehouse, you don't have to copy paste back and forth. It does it for you. So the AI is doing this iteration. So it's writing SQL, getting the output, seeing the output, then writing more SQL. And then it can also generate reports within the IDE using HTML, or usually what I use is embedded CSS HTML folders. So it does everything for you. there's very little manual work other than visually looking at what the AI is writing. And here's like a great example. Like this is what has really 3x my productivity. So here's a good example. So let me see here. So a stakeholder came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to change some of the logic for the store inventory table. I want it to be 2 per store for regular items and 1 per store for boxes." And at the time, it was 2 for all items, not for all items, and I want it to be 1 for box items. So the AI then goes and looks at the code. It understands that I need to change this line, add this line, change the view. And then here's where the MCP comes into play. So AI uses the MCP and it runs a SQL code like this to verify that the code change that it made was correct. And this would have taken me, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to do, not very long, but it took AI a minute. And then it took me a minute to verify that the AI did it correctly. So just like really incredible stuff here. So I'd love to know your thoughts. If you have any questions or if anything was confusing, let me know. Cheers.